Good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Pardon me. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called Behavior Modification Program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever does actually see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places linked to Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to go ahead and utilize your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Now, excuse me, I gotta clear my throat because allergies. By the way, my one bitch today. Can anyone explain to me why season has been extended into infinity? Because I've been having allergy issues all damn year, even in winter. Why? Just putting it out there. Okay, where we left off. The FDA disagrees with the assertion that the state-of-the-art treatments for SIB or AB do not include pharmacotherapy and that there are no pharmacologic treatments specifically approved for the treatment of SIB or AB, but they're not approved to do it by itself. It's a supplement, not the entirety of the treatment program. Remember that. It is important to understand that SIB and AB are not disorders themselves, but rather symptoms associated with various underlying conditions. Thank you! Finally! It's an offshoot from something else that's triggering it. It is not the cause as well as the issue in and of itself. Okay? For the love of God. Because we're tired, folks. Holy crap, we're tired. All right. In clinical practice, SIB and AB are referred to as transdiagnostic symptoms because they can be associated with numerous, sometimes comorbid conditions and not specific to a particular diagnosis. What did I just say? What did I just say? A good majority of us neurodivergent folk are at the very least dual diagnosers. More often than not, there's more than one. Allow me, because we knew the crazy papers again yesterday. Autism spectrum disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, clinical depression, anxiety disorder, and OCD tendencies. Okay? Those are all my conditions. Medicine assists regards to those other comorbid conditions where when it is not being properly treated feeds into the autism It's a never-ending cycle of suck, okay? When you have a moment because of PTSD, it's a flashback, a sudden movement, or something inspires those flight or fight thing within you. And then that feeds into the autistic circle brain thinking. So you are essentially, through no fault of our own or even our willing participation, caught in toxic circular thinking because that flashback's drawing up all those old feelings. All those old feelings are overwhelming you emotionally. Sensory issues get worse. And it just circles around and around and around. The medication is used to help stop that particular cycle so that you are able to utilize and implement your treatment program properly. Period. 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 It is not the state of the art treatment in and of itself. It is a medication that works to help, along with the treatment program, deal with the underlying conditions that could be feeding into and triggering the very behaviors you all scream about. Okay? Medicine is done properly. It's as a supplement to the far larger overall treatment program. It cannot attack the whole thing because it can't, right? The comment further asserts that pharmacotherapy is ineffective for some patients and have severe risks. Again, if I had to choose between Wellbutrin, sleep is the only thing I care about, and having second to third degree burns and be essentially stuck in a 2-year catatonic like state, I'm going to go with feeling extraordinarily sleepy over that. I'm just saying. The FDA disagrees with the assertions that the state-of-the-art treatments for SIB or AB do not include pharmacotherapy and that no pharmacological treatments are specifically approved for the treatment of AB, SIB or AB. Yes, I know, I'm repeating myself. Let me go back here. Examples of disorders in which patients may exhibit SIB or AB include, but are not limited to. So, can we say it for the Karens in the back? Autistics are not the only people out here who suffer from SIB or AB. There is many psychiatric disorders and other things that can be contributing to that behavior. Most of us are comorbid. A good majority of us are. Okay? The medicine helps treat that part of us that makes it impossible for us to implement our own treatment program. Okay? All right. Psychiatric disorders, which have a relatively high prevalence of SIB and AB, for example, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, mood disorders, psychotic disorders, post traumatic stress disorder. Hey, right? I was just saying, wasn't I? Eating disorders, anxiety disorders, adjustment disorders, and substance use disorders. It's a circle jerk of suck, okay? And I don't mean the fun kind. You know what I'm saying? That medicine acts as a way to pull us out of that cycle, pull our heads out so that we could use the tools we have been given through our treatment program to address what needs to be addressed head on without having to worry about one of our comorbid diagnoses essentially kamikazing it. Okay? Let's continue. Neurodevelopmental disorders NDDS. In fact, remember, there's the kitchen sink diagnosis that was in the DSM 4 that was called POD. Oh my God, what was the terminology? Pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. All right. Which is a fancy way of saying we're not sure exactly what's wrong, but you share very strongly in traits that come from neurodivergence. We don't know what else to call you. So, have fun with essentially being called, we don't know what's wrong with you in fancy lettering. All right. And genetic disorders, which also have a relatively high prevalence of SIB or AB. For example, ASD, the definition which was recently broadened in the DSM 5, stereotypic movement disorder, intellectual disability, Lech-Hand syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, Angelman syndrome, and fetal alcohol syndrome, and medical diagnoses, for example, traumatic brain injury, cerebral palsy, and sleep disorders. Exactly. As autistic folk do not hold a monopoly on self injurious behavior or aggressive behavior. Okay? In fact, we exhibit these behaviors far less. Remember, I'm a people watcher than I've seen in my own neurotypical peers. All right? Yeah, that. It really clarifies it, doesn't it? First off, autistics are not the only creatures on planet Earth that exhibit these behaviors. There's a neurodivergent umbrella for a reason. And many issues that we're discussing here that often get the help of being addressed with medicine, we share cross traits. Okay? We share cross traits a lot. That's why no matter what kind of neurodivergent you are, if you put me in a room with one of my own, ADHD, autistic, I don't care, we have an immediate understanding of one another and a way of communicating with each other that we can't have with the outside world. Let's just put it that way, okay? I know it's off topic, but there are more diagnoses that have issues with SIB or AB, okay? We do not hold the monopoly on it. In fact, many of us have both autism and some psychiatric disorders like clinical depression or post traumatic stress disorder. I have yet to meet a singular neurodivergent. At this point in time, out of 20 years of being a part of all this, that has not suffered some form of trauma. Okay? There's comorbid. The medicine addresses the comorbid conditions that make it difficult to implement the treatment program. It's point blank exactly what it's there to do. B, this idea that we are the only ones that engage in this type of behavior and are universally condemned and villainized for it needs to come to an end. I am tired. I am sick and tired that every time there is a shooting, for the love of God, even during the Trump assassination attempt, I saw someone claiming that guy was autistic. I wish I was making this up. It happens every single time. Every time. All right. More often than not, these individuals are usually having some other diagnosis. Okay? Yeah, that. That. A lot. That. comments. Okay. So, sitting there, but it can't treat it. It's not state of the art. No, it's not in and of itself state of the art. When paired with a proper treatment program informed by a full functional behavioral assessment, is when it addresses the very things that you're screaming about. Number two, point from my previous video. Anybody who has this bizarre default setting that if pills that were just prescribed to my kid don't work in a week, that we should automatically go with torture and the human dog collar, do not deserve to have kids. And CPS should really be paying them a visit. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to utilize those comments. I appreciate your time today. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Ow, my back. This is what happens when you sleep in their 40. I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.